What up, what up, what up? It's your boy James, aka Ralph's favorite, 1/3 of TBD, the radio show. You're probably saying, yo, get to the video. Before we do that, I just want to say we appreciate you watching, we appreciate you listening, and we would also appreciate if you like this video. And if you're not subscribed to the page, subscribe to the page. And your support is greatly appreciated. So remember, it's all TBD. Now let's get to the video. Welcome back to a special episode of TBD, the radio show, the political perspective. And this perspective is being done from both sides of the coin, from the conservative and the liberal. And we are joined by a special guest to speak from the conservative side. He's an artist, he's an entrepreneur, he's a father, Mugg, aka MuggMan.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for inviting me on your show.
Glad to have you, and I'm glad that you were able to take the time out to have this discussion, as I know these topics are important to you.
Yes, sir.
All right. And of course, we wouldn't have the political perspective without our very own political analyst, my man Reggie, aka Speed and Bullet, aka Beautiful Bobby.
I mean, I don't feel as beautiful staring at this guy right here. He might take the mantle. We feel about light skinned guys, but we gonna keep that on a regular show. But appreciate the opportunity to have a conversation. I think it's definitely gonna be spirited. Let me just correct you. I am not a liberal. I'm a person that feels like within life, there's some things I'm conservative about, and there's some things that I'm liberal about. And I think that most people, when they look at things that are important to them, they probably fall somewhere in the middle. So you may be surprised. There may be some things that me and MuggMan may even agree on, but I think it's going to be a spirited conversation.
I'm glad you said that, Reggie. I'm glad you prefaced with that. I'm glad you led with that, because I was going to rip your head off, because coming in the presumption that you're a liberal, and I know what liberalism does to our community. So I came in with nasty intentions, but I'm glad you clarified that, sir.
Well, keep the energy. You might still need it.
With that being said, we are going to get right into the discussion. And the first topic of the discussion is, does racism exist in America? Now, we did a coin toss right before we began, and Mugg did win the coin toss. So he will begin.
The short answer is yes. Racism does exist in America. And let me correct the initial question was, how much does racism affect your life? Now, that's my fault, because I never texted it to you. I said it verbally. Now, maybe that was intended for content. The question, does racism exist in America? The answer to that question is yes. It absolutely does exist. Racism has existed throughout human civilization. That's not the issue. The issue is, does racism hinder you from being successful in life? And the answer to that is, it depends on you. A man such as myself, I do not give the boogeyman power. If the boogeyman has power, you will marginalize yourself. You will be inferior. I don't like to teach my sons that they're starting off this game with a disadvantage. Absolutely not. I didn't start off with an advantage. And I know movers and shakers, regardless of race, do not see themselves as being inferior. Movers and shakers know how to get things accomplished. And that is any race. So I do not teach my sons that they are inferior. that the boogeyman has no power over him. I do not teach my children that the boogeyman has power over them. They have power over the boogeyman. When the boogeyman has power over you, it has become you have relinquished authority to the boogeyman. And that's why he dominates you. That's why you tuck your tail. That's why you have been emasculated and have snipped your testicles. My children know that they are masters of their own destiny. My children know that in a world of economics, power, control, politics, they have to maneuver through the gauntlet. It's almost like Hunger Games. Actually, before Hunger Games, there was a better one. It was called The Running Man. And everybody on this panel is of age to remember The Running Man. That's The Running Man, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, written by Stephen King, is a good model. It's a good metaphor. How I perceive what it's like being put in this rat race or this jungle and having to tactically maneuver your way around and not depend on the boogeyman to give you a meal or a seat at his table.
Okay, so I don't 100% disagree with you. I think that it's important to have conversations with our community, conversations with our children about always maintaining your level of standard within this world, but also your level of understanding how this game is played. I think that's how we as parents and as Black men should be approaching the conversation at face value. Now, whether or not racism and discrimination has created barriers and disproportionately affects Black people, every single metric that is available says that is true. So racism doesn't necessarily have to paralyze you. However, it does affect your life to some degree. Every president except for one was white. There's reasons why. If you look at our history up until the civil rights movement, there were actual legal barriers that stopped Black people from achieving certain types of success. So we're already operating in this world that racism exists and racism can affect outcomes. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to mean that is the only variable, but it is a variable. And yes, there are millions and millions of Black people that are able to navigate through that with no issue. However, racism and discrimination doesn't have to be 100% for it to be effective. It doesn't have to be 100% for it to affect a significant group of people. So if it affects 60%, that is a major number of people who are affected by still laws, statutes, mindset. You can't change the hearts and minds of people. So if we think of only 60, 70 years ago, they had to create actual laws with consequences to be able to even give us what you would say would be a fair opportunity. So I think when we think of racism, we don't need to think of it as a crutch. We need to think of it as understanding the landscape that we live in and being able to operate through that. I give no excuse for anybody that uses racism as a crutch. But I think that both things can be true at the same time. You can understand that there are racial barriers out there. I mean, and I think that if you look at, say, Trump and how he just brought South Africans from South Africa
because they were experiencing what they described as racial injustice, right? And this is in another country, so I mean, obviously the variables are different. However, this is something that every metric says that it matters. Every metric says that it matters. So I totally agree with you that it shouldn't be used as a crutch. But I don't know if and maybe you talk to more people than I do, but I don't see millions of black people blaming the man. I don't see millions of black people actually blaming racism for their problems. I mean, I just don't.
I do. I hear a lot of whining, complaining. I heard a lot of whining, griping, complaining about racism. That was the whole 2020, the whole 2020 election. It was like, oh, Republicans are racist. Don't vote that racist man in here. He's going to let all the racists do what they want to do.
But I don't think. I mean, I think if you look at Trump's track record, you can make an argument that he is a racist. I mean, I don't think that that people calling Trump a racist is something that has absolutely no merit at all. I mean, so Trump, however you feel about him, he does have a track record. The man is 80 years old. So he does have a track record of discriminating with through housing, of really fleecing people.
Excuse me, sir. When though?
So I mean, does it matter?
When? No, when did he become a racist? Did he become a racist? Was he a racist when Jesse Jackson gave him all the accolades for assisting him in running his campaign? When he was financing Jesse Jackson, did Jesse Jackson say he was racist?
So wait, let me make sure I understand what you're saying. So you're saying he paid, he financed someone, and you're asking me why someone like Trump, when we talk about receiving money, come on, bro. Like, I mean, listen, when we talk about money and influence, that it becomes murky, right? If you're a businessman, you're receiving money, like it becomes murky. But
you're absolutely right.
Gonna sit there and say just because he accepted an award means he's less racist than he was. And listen, I'm not even a person to call Trump racist, right? All I'm saying is, if someone does say Trump's racist, they have a lot of evidence that points towards that. I don't really think it matters in the conversation how you feel about Trump in terms of how he feels about black people. I don't really think I don't even think that's a legitimate conversation. I think that, but when people bring it up, when they bring up, things like birtherism with Obama, like, yeah, that's why people are going to say that. People aren't just making it up, right? But I don't think it's important. I think Trump has many more warts outside of being racist. I mean, you could call him a lot of things outside of racist. You could just call him incompetent. But we'll talk about his presidency so far. But just to kind of button it up, and I want to give you a chance to respond back. But yeah, I do agree that we should not use racism as a crutch for first any bad behavior, because I'm assuming that you live in a city. I mean, we know why it is. We ain't even gonna sugarcoat it, right? So we ain't. I'm not gonna be the one to sit here and give anybody a pass for bad behavior, or to place blame on someone else for bad behavior. I mean, we've navigated as a community through actual tangible racism, right? We navigated through history with tangible racism, with motherfuckers getting lynched. We've been able to survive that. We can survive the shit right now, right? However, anyone would be naive when they look at any other statistic. They look at government contracts. Why is it that 90% of government contracts go to white men? That is not, you cannot do that by accident. Like you can't do that by accident. And I think that there is a larger conversation in the community, but I don't know if maybe some deep liberals feel that way about racism. But I told you, I'm not liberal, so I don't give cover to people that are not doing what they need to be doing. I grew up in the hood. I'm doing what I need to be doing. All my folks are. So, but I'm gonna let you respond, MuggMan.
Thank you, sir. I came into this thinking that you were under the presumption that you were a liberal. Like I said, I think we might based off of this first topic, I believe we might have more in common than I initially thought. I will address, since you brought up South Africa, I will address the issues that you referred to and the disparity or you mentioned 90% government contracts for the white males, favoritism and nepotism, and that exists in countries where it's a homogeneous society. So there are people in the community that are oppressed, that don't have opportunities. And that happens in countries where everybody is the same race. There are the haves and the have-nots wherever you go.
Yeah,
the question is it because of you? Are you lazy? Are you not able to be what you want to be in life because you blame someone else? Or do you take accountability for yourself?
Let me ask you this. How tall are you?
6 foot.
So you're 6 feet, right? So you might have played basketball once, right? So does a 5'2" guy have more of a chance of making it to the NBA than a 7-footer? I think it's clear that the 7-footer has a better chance.
That's a great point.
There are some variables, right? If the 7-footer can't play, then I mean we're talking. But
that's a great point.
Similar.
That's a great point. That's a great point. So you're saying that the color of your skin is a handicap.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that how people respond to the color of your skin is a handicap. And we've already established that racism is a thing. So if racism is a thing, why wouldn't you think that racism affects people? I mean,
it does not affect me. It does not affect me, and I teach my children it doesn't affect them. So I want them to purge the weakness out of their mindset. Purge that weakness.
So racism today is not burning crosses, calling you a nigger. It's not that. The race, you may not even be aware. Like a lot of people are. So I got a perfect example for you, right? So during the Obama administration, he passed an executive order to make sure that car dealerships gave black people the same interest rates that they gave white people, right? Did a study. The study came out and said that black people were given higher interest rates even with the same credit score, right? Even with the same.
What year was this?
This would have been 2009. Please look it up. Our folks are doing it to make sure I'm correct. But he passed an executive order. Wait, let me finish. He passed an executive order to make sure that car dealerships had fair practices and gave people the same rates. And we're talking about the same credit score, same financial worthiness. They were giving black people higher interest rates, right? They're giving black people higher interest rates. This is documented, right? So if it's not by race, what is it? Because you can't do it by accident, right? We're talking about a specific group that has a higher interest rate. So these people weren't aware that racism was affecting their interest rate. So you don't even know how racism is affecting you. Now it cannot affect how you go through life. Yes, MuggMan, it can't. You'll be a damn fool. It can't affect how you show up in life. But there are things. There are studies after studies talk about redlining. There are studies that have shown that white people be like, "Nah, we ain't doing that," or white people be like, "Nah, we gonna hook our folks up, and we gonna give y'all the higher interest rate." So you may not even know what's affecting you. So it doesn't paralyze you, but what it needs to do is make you understand that this is the environment that we live in. Don't be naive to that. Just understand it and use that as a tool. Use that as a reason to go and do what you need to do. But don't be sitting here acting like it's I don't want to say lily white, but don't be sitting acting like it's fairy tale. I mean, because I'm gonna tell you straight up. I'm a black director. I got black managers under me. I'm not even acting like it's so egregious for you to be familiar with your group, right? But what I'm saying is we have to make sure that we don't say that don't exist, because clearly it does. Clearly it does.
I'm going to bring up some scripture. Does anybody mind if I bring up some scripture? Does everybody believe that the Holy Scripture is the Word of God? There's a scripture, it's in the Old Testament, it's in Numbers. And Moses sends 12 spies to go spy on the land of Canaan. And 10 of those spies came back and said they saw giants. Their eyes told them they saw giants. Their ears told them they saw giants. They smelled giants. And that's what they repeated. There's a verse that says something like, we are grasshoppers to them. These are mighty men. They had already defeated themselves because they thought these men were so superior. And they said they were giants, except Caleb, who had a different spirit with him. Caleb and Joshua didn't see giants. Caleb and Joshua saw a brain. They said, no, these are not powerful, great men. God already promised us this was ours. So they are not giants. They are bred to us. That's how they are the only two adults that left Egypt that were allowed in the promised land, because they had a different spirit with them, because they believed what God said, not what man said. Because man said he'll see giants. Oh, you can't do it. You can't be president. You can't get that position, that contract. You can't do this, move in that neighborhood, because you're a black man, or you're inferior, or you're weaker. No. If God promised it to you, why are you convinced that somebody else has power over you? If God gives you the power to vanquish the giants, they didn't even acknowledge they were giants. They said, no, they are bred to us. What is that? What's that called? In our slang today, I eat them up. Eat them up like food. This mentality of teaching our children that they are inferior and that there are giants who are superior is a recipe for disaster. Don't do it to your children. Set them up for success. Tell them God has a promised land for you. And if you obey God, then he will give them to you as food and you will eat them up.
Yeah, so, all right. Great analogy, great scripture. It definitely speaks to thinking that someone is inferior. I don't know if black people think that they're inferior to white people. What are you saying? That's a ridiculous take. So you think that black people think we're inferior to white people? All right, come on, bro. Come on. You think that's what's floating around in our community? We think white people are better than us? Come on, bro. No, that's not what's happening. And I think that the acknowledgement that racism exists doesn't mean that people think that these motherfuckers, I don't call them motherfuckers, but these motherfuckers is like, we think they're better than us. We think we're inferior to them. Hell fucking no. That's not accurate, bro. And you cannot tell me that you sitting here thinking that it's a generation or 20 million black people thinking that white people are superior to us. What?
Are they afraid?
Are they afraid of
Are they afraid of them?
Afraid of white people?
Are you afraid of the white man?
Absolutely not. I don't think black people have never been afraid of white people. No, we've been afraid of the fucking system. We ain't been afraid of white people. Period.
All right.
We've been afraid of white people. So listen,
who runs the system?
We were kept in bondage. Wait, we were kept in bondage. Not because we were afraid, because we killed the motherfuckers. We ran the fuck away. We did the shit. We got the shit popping. It was the barriers. It was the laws. It was laws saying y'all can't read. Laws saying y'all can't own a firearm. Y'all can't own a weapon. It was all of that shit that made them able to oppress us. It wasn't like you were sitting back there like, oh, fuck that shit. They better than us. No, we got it popping. We still get it popping, but we ain't talking about no white people better than us. But that's not the conversation. Great is a great scripture, but that ain't the conversation in my hood. That ain't and if I want to be honest, the conversation might be a little different. It might be like, we better than them motherfuckers. It might be that might be the conversation. Now, I mean, we ain't sitting around and talking about these motherfuckers better than us. No, nah, I ain't taking that. But this is a good kind of segue into DEI. The good segue into DEI. Now, I know I'm supposed to go first, so I'm gonna jump right in there. So DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, right? To me, has turned into a dog whistle for Black people, right? Dog whistle for Black people. My only kind of opinion about it is, who says that there is an issue with diversity or equity or people being included? I'll give you a perfect example, right? The NFL. The NFL is predominantly Black people, right? Predominantly Black men in the NFL, predominantly. And now it used to be only quarterbacks who was white. Now we even taking over that shit, right? But for years, there was an absence of Black coaches, right? There's an absence of Black coaches. And you would think that you're going to develop and pick coaches from the ranks of players because they already know the game, right? But for a long time, and I'm old enough to know that it was like two Black coaches. You had Art Shell and you had Dennis Green. Was it Dennis Green? Yeah, Dennis Green. That was it. That's all the Black coaches that you had. So they created the Rooney Rule, that it was required that if there was an NFL opening for a head coach, that you had to at least interview a minority candidate. It didn't say hire them, right? And it happens all the time. Like we look at people like Eric Bieniemy going on interviews. Ain't nobody hire him, right? They might think he trash, right? But it's giving everyone an opportunity. And there has been a lot of Black coaches who have used the Rooney Rule as an opportunity to interview for these positions. So that is really what we're talking about when we talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion. We're talking about, I'm not making you make a decision on this person. What I'm saying is be a little more open to people at least interviewing for the position. There's no such thing as quotas. There's no such thing as you have to have this many people. Because listen, if you live in North Dakota, it's gonna be all white people anyway, right? That's just how it is. I go, like, where you gonna find a Black person at, right? So that ain't gonna happen. It's not. We need to create these special things so people can be hired. If you trash, you trash, and we see it all the time. So to eliminate that would be like the NFL eliminating the Rooney Rule just cause, when we already know what it was before. And you ain't gonna tell me that Black people couldn't coach in the 80s. Black people couldn't coach in the 90s. I ain't trying to hear that. So these Black people just giving an opportunity. And I'm going to say that us as Black people, we kind of know that we gotta be twice as better, right? We gotta be twice as better. We gotta be twice as articulate. We gotta know our shit. We gotta be much better. We gotta make this shit hard. Because if the shit even, I'm gonna go with that. We gotta make the shit so uneven and we so impressive that there is no, but I think when people think of DI, they think of it's these unqualified people that are getting these positions. And let's be honest, we live in the United States of America. Being unqualified is never a reason that you won't get a job. I mean, because our president is absolutely unqualified. Absolutely unqualified. And get a man credit. He got the highest job in the world. But it's not unqualified people are not getting positions because you're not required to hire anybody. Nobody's sniffing up your payroll saying how many Black people on there. That's not what it is. All it is about opportunity, about inclusion, and about giving everyone a fair chance. But we know what it was before. And now to eliminate it would be equivalent to the NFL eliminating the Rooney Rule. And I mean, I think that for a Black person, what that says to me is too many of y'all niggas getting hired. Too many of y'all niggas is interviewing with us And they like, damn, these motherfuckers is impressive. Oh, we're gonna go with them. And to eliminate that is to say, oh, we let them stand next to us, and now they shining. We only want to give them an opportunity. So I'm in agreement with DI. I think it's important, but I also think to eliminate it, to me, is all based on white fear. All based on white fear that if these people are in the room with us, they might outshine us, and we can't have that. So we ain't gonna put them in the room. But you might feel different. So I'm gonna let you spin off on your feelings about DEI.
That was a very, very good point. Very good argument. I have several personal experiences with DUI, and I'm sure y'all do too. If you want to remodel, your kitchen, are you going to hire the contractor or the laborers based off their ethnicity? No, you shouldn't. you should hire the contractor or laborers based off of a few things: their dependability, their credibility, the money they want to charge you, right?
Let me ask you a question. What if all things are even, right? All things even. You know, credibility, insurance, pricing. How do you decide?
That's a great question. Me personally, I had already built. I had built a rapport with specific individuals. There's favoritism. I had my faves. If I'm on an airplane, I do not want the pilot of my airplane to be a DEI hire. I want the baddest motherfucker they got, the baddest nigga they got to fly my plane. I don't care about his ethnicity. I don't care about his race. I want the baddest man capable to fly this plane.
How do you determine he's a DEI hire?
I don't know. I know what I want. You know, you don't want a DEI. You don't want a DEI. You don't want a DEI hire flying your plane. You don't.
I don't think people are saying you get hired because of DEI. They saying you get interviewed. Like I don't. And maybe my mind is a little naive, right? But I don't think somebody's gonna be like, a person is less qualified, and I ain't gonna hire, and I'm gonna hire somebody less qualified to fly an airplane. That's asinine. That's not happening, bro. That's not happening.
I'm gonna tell you where I've seen it. I've seen it in the Philadelphia Fire Department. I was a Philadelphia firefighter for 6 years, maybe 6 or 7, right? And this is what I know to be true. There's a promotion list. You know the problem with the promotion list? It has to be DEI.
Explain what that means. I need to understand what that means.
So everybody takes a test, but you can't go by the findings or the results of the test. You know why? Because then it wouldn't reflect the adequate quota of DEI. Huh?
In the fire department, they got quotas?
Oh, yeah. As a matter of fact, it was a judge made it a requirement when they hired firefighters. They had the population of the fire department had to be had to resemble the population of Philadelphia in ethnicity, right? And this started in the 70s. All right. What I saw in my years from 15 to 21, what I saw in my years was when they take a promotional test and you got to hire 20 captains. You would think, based off the test scores, you would hire 1 through 20. No. Why are you going down, skipping? You're going to hire 1 through 10, and then you're going to skip 11 down to 120 because you got to meet a quota? Come on, brother. DEI is trash. I don't want a nigga that's there because he's fitting a quota. I don't want somebody flying my plane because the government feels like he deserves an alley-oop. No, I want the most qualified man for the job. Whether it be my kitchen, whether it be flying my plane, or whether it be coming to save me, and I'm passed out, and the room's full of smoke, house full of smoke. I want the most qualified man to drag me up out of there and save my life. Not a DEI.
I don't disagree, right? And if that's the practice of the fire department to hire people, because you're saying that this is come from the 70s and this is before it was a thing called DEI, right? That's a new term, right?
Correct.
But if you're saying that the fire department is hiring people who are, and if you're taking a test, to me a test is, you can't discriminate on a test, right? You either score well or you don't. And if you're telling me they're dragging people, I don't want to say from the bottom, because they may not even be from the bottom, maybe from the middle, right? But they're dragging people out of order. The only thing I can think of, and this is being from somebody that has been in those conversations, right? When you are looking at a promotion, you're looking at the entirety of an employee. So testing is just one aspect of it. It may be how this person responds as a leader. It may be tenure. It may be a lot of things that can scramble that list. But if that's happening, that's wrong, right? That's absolutely wrong. However, what I'm saying is, if we use the example of a pilot, right? You do understand how exclusive it is to be a pilot, right? I mean, you understand, right? Like, you either had to be in the military, like it's very difficult to get a private pilot's license. So we're talking about you probably have a lot of experience flying missions, flying aircrafts. I don't know if there's a D- pilot. Like, what do we like? I mean, and I think these kind of conversations kind of like ridiculous, right? Like they're gonna hire some dude that can't fly a plane. Like, come on, bro. Like, that's not happening. Like, you're not gonna tell me that. Yo, you gotta be one of the top to be a damn pilot. They ain't hiring no people that can't fly a damn plane. Come on, man. Like, we're not doing that, man. We're not doing that, man. Like, I know there might be some crazy stuff going on out there, but even when they start talking about the airplane shit, I'm like 10,000 pilots in the country. Like, it's a very exclusive company being a pilot. They not, come on, bro. Like, they qualified. You ain't telling me it's somebody unqualified to fly an airplane? Come on, bro. So that ends up making that whole thing, the whole Tucker Carlson thing, like, come on, bro. I just got my license from 52nd Street. Yo, hire me. Come on, bro. Like, you're talking about experienced pilots from all over the fucking world, like, that have flown, that have history, that have resume. Ain't nobody fly no damn plane. Can't fly no plane. Come on, bro. Let's stop that, man. Like that, and that's the type of stuff that we gotta stop that. Like, the whole thing with the fire department. If anybody's doing quota shit like that, I'm not with that. And I asked you about if it's a tie, right? For me, if it's a tie, I'm choosing black. Now, I mean, listen, man, white people had a 200-year head start. Nigga, you shouldn't be tying us on nothing. So if it's a tie, I'm going black. But that shit shouldn't happen. Like, nobody should get jumped over, whatever. But not pilot. Come on, bro, man. Ain't nobody unqualified flying no damn plane. I do think that there are, that with anything there can be some issues and some bad outcomes and some unfair outcomes, right? I do believe that, right? And I think anything to the extreme is gonna cause some problems, right? So are there some instances where DEI or even affirmative action has created some unfair outcomes. All right, I got you. But we gotta kind of stop them type of conversations because I feel like they're not really productive. I mean, I feel like we all should be like, let's give everyone a fair opportunity, and wherever it falls, then let it fall, right? But let's give people a fair opportunity, and I can live with that. I can live with a motherfucker getting a job over me that has better qualifications, better tenure, more degrees, more articulate. I can live with that. I cannot live with somebody that jumps over me just because they white. I can't live with that. And I don't think anybody should. I don't think anybody should across the board. And I think the only purpose in DI is to make sure that people are in the room so we can see what the talent is out there. That's it. I mean, that's it. But last thing, and I don't want to keep going, but I feel like the attack on DEI a lot of times ends up being an attack on black people. Because when we talk about DEI, who we talking about, really? We gotta be talking about black people. We ain't talking about women. Because I don't think there's no white women out there talking about they ain't getting no jobs. No, I mean they make the most. They benefit the most from the civil rights movement. They benefited the most. So who we talking about? When we talk about, and that's my thing. We talk about DEI. We only talking about black people. So that's why it's like y'all niggas getting too many jobs. We ain't talking about nobody else. Who else we talking about? Say DEI.
I disagree. I disagree. Who
else we talking about? Who else we talking about? DEI.
Okay, I remember after the attempted assassination last summer, right? And I remember that's when the DEI conversation went viral. Remember that?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Okay. All right. And the reason for that is Trump was a former president and he's running for presidency. He doesn't have the head of the class. He don't have the top guns of the Secret Service protecting him. He didn't have the A team. He didn't have the B team. Because the A team was with Biden. The B team was with Kamala. I think the C team goes with Nancy. Right? So we can probably say we can probably I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna just throw a letter out there. I'm gonna say that Trump had the P team. Okay, I'm being that's comedic relief. That's comedic relief. The P team. Okay.
Exclusive to this to be in a Secret Service?
Not that crew. Not the ones that did. Not the ones that did. So this is why it went viral. It went viral because, first of all, to be an adequate Secret Service agent, you have to be at least the height of the person you're protecting. Because your body has to stay in front of them. If you're 5'2" and Trump is 6'2", you got a whole foot. You're supposed to be a 6 tall as this man. You need the 18. And the woman who was a DEI hire couldn't even holster her gun. You remember that? That went viral. You've seen that clip many times. Everybody's seen that clip. Don't deny it. You've seen the clip. The woman unholstered her gun. She could not reholster her gun. Y'all seen that? Everybody's seen it. Why not? You know why? Because she's a DEI hire. And it does matter. You know why? Because it is inferior quality. I don't want inferior quality. I want superior quality.
You're a businessman, right? Like,
yes, sir.
Right? You ever have a bad employee?
Yes.
What the fuck are we talking about, bro? Like, so you're gonna tell me this chick is a bad employee? All right, she a bad employee. Why the hell she gotta be a DI hire? Maybe she a bad, and don't tell me ain't no fucked up white employees. Come on, bro. Come on, man.
You say the last part? No,
the last part? Ain't no fucked up white employees. So why she can't just be a fucked up ass terrible employee? There's plenty of them out there. There's plenty of them out there.
No, she was I'm saying she was DEI because she was hired because she was a female. She was a female.
How do you know that? How do you do that? How you
Yo, play the tape. Play the tape. Play it.
What tape?
Play.
How wait, and listen, and this is something that I don't think we will ever know, right? We don't know her, we don't know all of her background in the military. We don't know how she may have scored on any tests. We don't know any of this. We're basing this lady's career, right? Because to make it to the Secret Service, you have to be decorated in your career, right? Your career to be in the Secret Service. And we're going to just disregard her entire career because she had a bad moment. Now she a DI hire. She shouldn't even been there. Like, she ain't unqualified, bro. And you ain't telling me they picking unqualified people into the Secret Service. You're not telling me that, bro.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nah, bro. Nah, man.
Absolutely.
Nah. We're talking about marksmen. We're talking about people who are decorated. Pete Hegseth was in the fucking Secret Service, and now he's what? The DOJ, whatever he is, DOJ secretary. It is exclusive party to be in the Secret Service. Exclusive. They not hiring the bottom of the barrel, bro. They not spinning somebody up that ain't got the credentials. Now, all credentials don't even mean that you're gonna be great at your fucking job, right? They're just credentials. But you're not gonna sit here and tell me that they hired this chick and she was fresh out the fucking academy or some shit. I'm sure she got every credential you could think about and is decorated. She just might have been a fucked up as employee. And I think that needs to be the conversation. Conversation to be like, you know what? That employee was fucked up or anything, but to be like, she was given a position. These types of positions, bro, I don't think that you can DEI somebody into the Secret Service. That's nasty work, man. I don't think you can DEI somebody into a fucking airplane cockpit. I don't see it, man. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's somebody out there that got more information that could be like, she was C-, whatever. But I'm gonna say this. There's levels to everything. So she may have the credentials, but maybe she wasn't great at it. Let's just say she was terrible. But I can't sit there and say she ain't had a credentials, bro. That's nasty work, man. That's nasty work. And did Donald Trump have any ability? Come on. Donald Trump can replace her? You trying to tell me your guy couldn't replace her? Come on, man. What are we talking about? They can replace her. They can replace anybody. You're trying to tell me if he was like, yo, they don't really look like she ready to rock and roll. I don't give a fuck. I mean, he don't. I'll give him all the credit on that. He definitely do his own thing. So I don't see him being like, yo, who that? I don't want her. I think, and I would think that's well within his right. And I don't think it's anybody that would bat an eye. I don't, and maybe I'm wrong, but I want to hear some of your curveballs, bro. I'm looking for them. Give me some of your curveballs. What you got? I need some of your curveballs. What's up?
Okay. All right. Well, before I change the subject, then I was trying to pull up. Her name is. She was a U.S. Secret Service director, Kimberly Cheadle, right? She resigned after the failed Trump assassination because they had a hearing about her inadequacy and her incompetence as being in charge of Secret Service, right? And pushing a liberal propaganda of DEI. You want to hire people that are inferior, that are incompetent, because you're trying to fit a certain image. So you want to have a certain demographic. Was she a representation?
Was she incompetent when she got hired, or did she prove herself to be incompetent? Because I could wait. Those are two different things, bro. So
that's true.
Did she have the credentials? She might have been trash. I can agree. She might have been trash. It's trash people everywhere. I'm just saying that did she have the credentials
to be hired. She can turn, you don't know how somebody gonna be when they get hired. All people know about how they interview, what their credentials are. Then she had the credentials. If you're telling me she's fucked up, she probably was. Like when I saw the assassination attempt, and I deal with low level security. I'm like, there's high ground, and nobody securing the high ground. What are we talking about? She should have been fired. She probably was trash. I'm gonna say she's trash. When I seen it, I said, whoever was in charge of that is trash. There's no way. There's no way that somebody should not have been securing the high ground. And we look at all of the structures, only one structure that was more than 3 stories. One structure. It ain't like it was a city where it's a million fucking buildings. One structure, and they couldn't secure it. They should have all got fired. But that's being a fucked up employee, a terrible employee. But I'm saying she had the credentials. If she had the credentials, then she was hired on the merits. Now, and I don't know this. I don't know this because I don't know the credentials to be the CI director. I don't know. But my assumption is we ain't hiring somebody that don't got the credentials, because then even her people ain't even gonna follow her. I mean, like that, like they're not even gonna follow her. I'm almost certain she was overqualified. You gotta be overqualified. I'm sorry. She probably was overqualified to be director. Director. She probably was at some point probably the assistant director. Like they ain't pulling the director from the bottom, bro. Come on, man. She's just terrible. Why we can't have a conversation that she's just terrible? But when you say DI, it means black. They saying black people. They saying black people. Why you can't just say, oh, she's fucked up? Who hired her? What the fuck is that? She's a terrible employee. That's cool, but don't be like she DI. But then we don't even have no way of even qualifying that. No way of somebody even being like, she's an actual DI hire. Somebody would have to, don't say it. Somebody would have to show some evidence that she had less qualifications than previous directors or people of similar credentials that apply to the position. You will have to show me that. And guess what? Ain't none of us got no access to that. I don't give a fuck what somebody Google. Ain't nobody got access to that. They don't have access to the people that interview for these positions. They don't have no access to that. So now we going on vibes and feelings. We going on vibes and feelings, and that's just not cool, man. That's not cool. But it always ends up being vibes and feelings when it comes to black people. Like, come on, man. Like that's. I just feel like it's not fair.
Thank you for watching this video. Please remember to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell.